Freshman year sets the tone for a student's entire high school experience, but most families treat freshman year like a warm-up. Oftentimes we just say it's a time of exploration. I just want my student to feel it out. I don't want to pressure or force my kid. But despite best intentions, what often happens is that parents allow students to drive a process when a student is unclear of really what they need to have done by freshman year. So the milestones, the objectives, and ultimately the student is driving a car without a GPS. And as a parent, that is the worst thing that we could do in supporting our students. And so what happens is that we think the things that we're doing to help our student is actually harming our student. So if your student is starting high school this year of 2025, I'm going to provide you with 5 powerful strategies to help them get set up for ultimate success, so they're not scrambling junior, senior year in preparation for the college application process, because the truth is it starts even before you enter high school. And if your student's entering now, this is the time to get serious. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do to set your student up for success. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell to be notified every time we release a new video. We'll be supporting you in planning and preparing for your college prep journey in high school. If you're looking for the optimal strategy to ensure that you're getting the most for your money, the savings that you have for college, as well as ensuring that your student is maximizing their potential, going to schools that are going to open up significant career prospects, this is the place for you. Hi, I'm Nicole, and I am the CEO and founder of Lionheart Coaching Academy and co-founder of our program Merit Money Method, where we have helped dozens of students over the last decade get into top colleges and also earn significant merit aid. I myself am a Princeton graduate who earned 8 full rides, over $200,000 in merit scholarships. We have used and applied that same strategy for our students, seeing incredible success of top merit aid, as well as competitive admissions to schools like Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, Duke, and the list goes on. But beyond the success we've had for our students, this work is deeply personal to me. My dad worked on Wall Street. My mom had a significant career in finance. She aspired to be on the cover of Black Enterprise. Rising Black professionals, breaking barriers in corporate America. That 529 was growing on autopilot. But despite their financial success and the social mobility that they obtained, they still felt something was missing for their children, especially me as the oldest of my 3 other siblings. And so what they set out to do was essentially figure out how could they support their children in developing purpose. And my dad ended up leaving his career in finance to become a pastor. That is not the advice I'm giving you today, but I am sharing this because it deeply formed my understanding of purpose and values. So once I was preparing for the college process, starting in middle school, it wasn't about checking boxes. It was really about getting clarity about who I am, the issues I wanted to solve, and the skills I wanted to learn to apply to those issues so that I could be a change maker, a solution strategist, a problem solver. By 15, I co-founded our high school's first African American culture club, in which we saw curriculum change, diversity training for staff implemented, and many other policy level implementations at the high school. We got the first African American history course accredited, mobilizing over 100 students in this effort. To this day, over 10 years later, Melanin Minds is still thriving, and it's still carrying that legacy of impact at the school. And I was awarded the Princeton Prize in race relations. This personal story of success in high school is what drives my passion, as well as our team's passion for helping other students. But the fact is that success also came at a cost. I was burnt out, I was depressed and anxious. So everything we do on this channel and in our program is to help families be successful without all of the baggage that often comes with it. That doesn't mean hard work isn't required. It simply means we're teaching our students to work smarter, not harder, as they learn from our mistakes and our successes. If you want to take action on everything you're going to learn today, I want to encourage you to go ahead and book a free strategy session at the end of this video so that we can support you in applying everything that we discuss. Let's dive right in. The first step is really focusing on habits over hype. So oftentimes families get really caught up in what other families are doing, what that other student who was a senior that just got into Harvard did, and trying to just piecemeal things from a bunch of random advice without really knowing what's legit and what's not legit. But at the end of the day, no one can mask a lack of hard work and a lack of quality habits. So starting in freshman year, if not sooner, it's really important that you support your student in developing healthy productivity skills, time management skills, and really a holistic lifestyle of wellness. Do they understand the importance of sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night? Do they understand the importance of eating 3 meals a day or eating regularly? These are really critical elements to a student's overall lifestyle habits, because as high school does demand more, the stress does increase. So those stress management habits cannot be undervalued. You want to be supporting your student, coaching them on what does it mean to be a whole human being. Do not start freshman year simply driving them down that process of this is what you need to do to be ready for college. Or you don't want to necessarily encourage just having your student reach for Harvard for the sake of its brand. You really want to focus again on those habits of holistic wellness, of sustainability as they are high achieving. One of the resources that we had during my time at Princeton University was academic life and learning consultations. I had the privilege of being trained and leading research-based strategies on how to support high achieving students and being successful without losing themselves in the process. I've seen dozens, if not hundreds, of Princeton students specifically implement these strategies to help them not burn out at Princeton. Because the reality is you can kill yourself, go the checkbox route, do the most in high school to get into these top schools, but it's definitely not going to guarantee that you're going to succeed. And I know for you as parents, it's about more than your kid just getting into the top school. It's about them having the skills to succeed in life, period, beyond the college graduation, beyond the diploma. We had 3 students during my time at Princeton commit suicide. I've saw students drop out because of burnout. Listen, the habits that need to be built freshman year, I promise you, are going to help them freshman year of college, even though that seems far away. It has to start with understanding the support of your student in their habits, because that is a reflection of who they are and how they're going to show up no matter the season of life. Step 2 is to choose with strategy. So you have to make sure that you're developing a theme for your student that is encompassing their intersection of interest. I encourage you to watch our videos talking about what to do even in middle school. Watch those videos even if your student is a freshman, because it'll help you understand how you can really accelerate the foundation that needs to be built for freshman year. That being said, once you have that theme, don't just pick courses at random, pick courses that align with that theme. That does not necessarily mean that the student is only taking STEM or only taking liberal arts. A good theme is actually going to be interdisciplinary in nature. What it does mean is that your student is clear about how the skills that they're building in the classroom are going to help them in whatever social problem that they're trying to solve outside of the classroom. If you want more details on this, I encourage you to book that free strategy session with us, and we can dive deeper about what that looks like to build an interdisciplinary theme for your student, and then how that aligns to their course strategy. You can't redo freshman year. So the courses you pick freshman year do matter for the story you're trying to tell through the transcript, because the transcript is telling a story. Beyond the GPA, the course selection is telling a story that we want to make sure aligns with that competitive positioning that we're trying to build for your student. Step 3, prioritize depth over breadth. So the reason that we encourage families to select a theme as soon as possible is to help the student be extremely selective about where they put their time and energy. Now, a lot of families think that picking a theme is going to box their student in and it's going to prevent exploration. No, that's not what it means. What it means is that when we do explore, when the student does explore, they're going to be intentional and have a why for what they're exploring, why they're exploring it, and what the outcome is for that exploration. So let's say a student is trying to see whether or not they're interested in engineering because they want to solve a problem of climate change. Okay, great. They're taking that course on engineering. They might find that they love it and that's the skill they want to more deeply pursue in order to be a problem solver. They might do that course and it was kind of mid and they understand the value of it, but it's not for them, or they might end that course and decide that they hate it. Whichever outcome it is, those are all equally valuable outcomes because the student is now clear on where they don't want to go deep, and that can often be more powerful than figuring out out where they do want to go deep. So exploration is important, but we want to ensure that as a student is exploring, they're not just staying in 10 clubs to stay in 10 clubs or jumping around to just take the hardest courses for the sake of proving that they're smart or intelligent. 99% of the students that are applying to these top colleges for top scholarships are also intelligent, also have the high GPA. So what is the differentiating factor? For 60% of scholarships that are given, leadership is one of the primary differentiating factors for setting a student apart beyond GPA and test score. So we can't underestimate the importance of having depth and leadership in that problem. So quick question, what is something that you're most worried about as your student is starting high school? Leave it in the comments and we'd love to create content to specifically reply to your problems. Step 4, introduce ownership early. Wow. I can't tell you how many parents make this mistake of choosing to run their students' lives. Essentially, their academics, their extracurriculars. Some parents will even manage the calendar. We're not saying that's a bad thing, and we're not saying there's not room for a parent to come in to support. But what we are saying here is the student has to learn to drive the process. Even in our program with the families we help, we're not just interested in producing results for the family. We call this the short-term result of just getting a great acceptance letter. We're thinking about the long-term result of who is your student becoming. As a whole human being, how are they showing up in the world? Are they ones that take initiative or wait for their parents to drive the process? We partner with students who are saying, I want to create a plan for my own life. Yes, I recognize and value the support that my parents bring, but ultimately it's my decision, it's my life, it's my choices. So as parents, I can't reiterate this enough. Let your student fall, let your student fail. I was recently speaking with a mother and she talked about the anxiety she had of her son being on his phone when he should be doing homework. But the reality was he was still getting the work done. She was just anxious because she was scared that he didn't. But the son was producing the results. And I said, if your son is producing the results, what's the issue? Because she had even shared a time in the past where he messed up, he failed, but he learned from it, he bounced back from it, and he never made that mistake again. He failed a test, and then he bounced back from it to get a good grade in the class. We have to allow students to build that resilience muscle for themselves. Don't be afraid if it's gonna affect their transcript. Again, think long term. That being said, the sooner you build these habits, the better, because a C freshman year is not going to be as bad as a C junior year. The earlier that these failures happen, that these mistakes happen, so your student can learn from it, the better. You cannot force your child to be motivated. They have to be intrinsically motivated. That is just the fact and reality of it. If you're watching this video and you're like, well, my student's not motivated, go watch some of our other videos that we talk about in the middle school experience, because we speak more to social context or the cultural context to what builds a high achieving student, to help you zoom out from just the technicals or practicals of what needs to be done to really supporting and cultivating that intrinsic motivation in your student. And if you'd like us to create a really explicit video to talk about intrinsic motivation and how to build that in your student, go ahead and leave a yes in the comments and we'll make sure to create a video just on that topic. Step number 5, support your student in connecting today's decisions to tomorrow's impact. So wrapping up everything we really just discussed, it's important that your student understands why their decisions as a freshman impact their decisions as a senior and even their college options when they are applying to college. If you don't know, they definitely don't know. If you are jumbling around going by the advice of other parents who really aren't sure what's happening or went by chance in the college admissions process, then your student is really only going to be going by what their friends are telling them. And if your student is in a situation where their friends are not necessarily also high achieving, you see where this is going, all right? So as a parent, it's so important that you understand that relationship and then coach your student on understanding that relationship. One of the major values of our program that we've loved seeing is that our students have a community of other high achieving students that are going against the grain of starting early so they don't feel alone in that process. It is time for us to normalize starting early, especially for Black and brown families, as we're seeing college admissions decline for people that look like us. So if you're ready to take this a step further and really implement everything we just discussed for your student, go ahead and book that free strategy session below. And my team and I would love to talk with you about what this roadmap is gonna look for your high school student, especially during their freshman year. If this video was helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for that. Subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell. You don't want to miss the next video. Right here, we'll be further unpacking how to support your student in preparing for their college application process.